Hi guys, so what I have in the workshop today is a Jenson Interceptor. This is quite a rare car here in the UK. They only made about 6,500 of these in the 10-year production run between 1966 and 76. Now, out of the 6,500 cars, half of those are still in existence, believe it or not, which I think is quite good for a 50-year-old plus car. Now, here in the UK, there's only about 500 of these left. About 3,500 of those are on the road, and the rest have been sold. So they're either being restored or being left in a garage to see if they appreciate, or they're just falling apart and not been scrapped yet, which is probably more the case with quite a lot of those sold vehicles. As you can see, this one is a convertible. Now, the convertibles were only made from 1974 to 1976, so the last 2 years of production, which makes them quite rare. So out of the 500 convertibles that were made, roughly, only 86 of them were made for the UK. So that makes that even rarer car. So we've only half of those on the road in the UK, and there's only about 43 left. This is obviously here to have some interior work done. Now, I'll just show you what this needs. It is quite a lot. It's not all getting done in one hit. It's in 2 phases. So work needs to be done on the convertible top and the interior. So I'll just show the interior and see what the issues are. Now we're going to start with the good. The front passenger seat is not in bad condition. The leather is still relatively okay. No rips, no tears, no major wear, no cracks, which is good. The Pirelli webbing needs changing. Lost all its elasticity. The back isn't too bad, but I still may change the webbing on that. Needs a clean, needs a little bit of a touch up in places, but nothing major. The dash is also in good condition for a dash, but it does need a little bit of touching up on the leather in places. And again, a clean. This car is quite filthy. I think it's been garaged for quite a long time, and it's just been left uncovered for probably part of that. So a lot of dust has got in the car. Passenger side door card, again, just like the passenger seat, decent condition, needs a clean, tiny bit of touch up, no major scuffs, rips, tears, anything like that. So that's not too bad. Now onto the driver's seat. Driver's seat pretty much like the passenger seat. No major issues with it, apart from the webbings are terrible. The foam here isn't great. In fact, most of the foam on this seat will need replacing. It is very, very soft, as you can see. I'm hardly putting pressure on that, and there's no support from this foam. So that's going to have to be dealt with. Same with the backrest. I think someone has changed this foam. It wouldn't have been this green foam. This is more modern foam. It would have been the white latex kind of foam that they used. But again, all the webbings need changing on that. A good clean up, a few scuffs here in the usual places. I think all the framework's all right. But again, a good clean. Now on to the bad. Oh, not very comfortable here. So as you can see, we have quite damaged leather here. This leather is very brittle. Rips like paper. That's because it's been wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, because of the major issue, which we'll get into in a minute. Obviously, issues here. Same with this leather. The leather is very brittle, so that's going to need changing. The padding in the rear seats isn't too bad. Obviously not been sat in as much as the driver's seat, but I think most of this is from just from water. Leather doesn't like to be wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. It eventually starts to contract. and become quite brittle. So quite a bit of leather needs changing in here. Again, a good clean because it is kind of minging. The top part of both back seats is quite sun damaged. The leather has shrunk and cracked from the sun and getting wet. And the reason it's been wet is because of what's behind here, or what's here. So the convertible top is in a terrible state. I haven't actually seen the top up because when this car was brought to me for me to have a look at and quote, the top wouldn't go up. The motors were really struggling, and so I didn't actually see the top, but I saw enough to know that it's absolutely going to be battered. There's going to be holes in it, there's going to be cracks, there's going to be probably stitching that's broke. Maybe the rear window has got a big crack in it, which doesn't surprise me. I think this convertible top has been left down for a long time, which is the worst thing you can do for convertible tops, especially with the plastic back windows, because the plastic back windows end up with a permanent crease, which then becomes a very weak spot in the window and cracks over time, which I suspect that's what's happened with this. But I won't find out until I put it up, which I'm going to do in a minute. Everything's going to get changed anyway. New headlining, new top, new rubbers, new trim. Now, never done a convertible of a Jensen before. I've done quite a lot of other convertibles. It's not going to be that hard. It's an old 70s car. So they were made relatively simple back in those days. And they weren't always great for keeping the rain out anyway when they were brand new. So let's see what we can do about that. So that took about a week to put up. The motors are very tired, very slow. But it's up. It's in better condition than I thought. It doesn't fit. You can see we've got a massive gap here. So it's shrunk because it's width. At this point, there should be a wire that runs in a pocket here. And there may be a chance that the wire has snapped somewhere along here. So it's not creating any tension. It's supposed to create tension from this point here all the way down and fasten somewhere down the back here. That's where they normally fasten, or to this metal here. And they create tension across here in a straight line, which pulls the hood down. So I think that may be snapped. The other side's probably the same. There's a crack in here. Loads of filler. Whether this is supposed to be filled with silicone, I very much doubt it, but you never know. You never know. The rear window is obviously not great, but it is a zip-out window. Now, I find zip-out windows quite strange on vehicles. Why would you have one? You don't have a rear window in any other vehicle that actually comes out, other than convertibles. So in a normal car, the rear window isn't an openable rear window generally. I don't think I've seen a car like that. Maybe pickup trucks have that sliding rear window. But other than that, no. So why would you put one in a convertible? Not quite. Don't quite understand. But yeah, zip out rear window. Quite a lot of damage on the bottom corner here of the rear window. In my opinion, they only create issues. You're putting a lot of stuff at this point, and it is a wear point. There is the convertible top does kind of fold at this point when it's folded away. The top is very faded, but it's actually a little bit better than I thought it would be. Has shrunk in places, This side of the rear screen is better, but there's a massive gap here. There's supposed to be a sealant around here, but there's a huge hole in it just here. So that's probably letting water in, hence the back seats are so wet. Again, voids in the filler along this side. Little toe at the bottom here, a little bit more than a little toe, where I can get a good 2 fingers in there. Again, same as the other side, we're short here, we've shrunk, and probably the same issue. In fact, there is nothing inside there. So yeah, the rod has gone, and I think this may have been a black hood, and it's faded to blue. I may be wrong, it may have been a very, very dark navy, I can't quite tell, but it's going to be blue anyway. The front edge doesn't look too bad. It looks like it's actually fits quite well there. Well, yeah, we're fine on this side. The other side, we've got a bit of a lift on that front corner, driver's side. So that just might be a little bit of adjustment on the latch itself, not on the top. Now the headline on the interior is shocking, completely corroded. So the whole of that is just going to come off in bits. I know it is. It's not going to be one-piece job. So that's the walk around this Jenson Interceptor. So the first job is going to be the top. I did tell the owner that there's no point in putting any work into the leather until this is done, because you might want to take it out, it might get wet, and the leather's going to get wet again. So, yeah, the first job is to remove everything on the hood. Now, it isn't actually a bad size, but I'm not going to use this as a pattern. I'm going to use it as a reference. The frame will get patterned, not the top itself. So once it's all stripped off, I will pattern the frame, because I can't pattern this, it's too short. I would be guessing anyway on where to bring it, and I would like it to fit a bit nicer than it is. The trouble with vinyl tops is the vinyl has depending on which vinyl it is, between a 1 and a 3% shrinkage. Now 3% might not sound a lot, but when you want something to be tight but not over tight, and you don't want it to shrink too much over time, you have to allow for that 3%. There is a bit of stretch in the fabric, but not as much as seating vinyl. It's a lot stiffer, this kind of vinyl. Yeah, first job will be to take the whole of this top off and see where we're at that point. So that will be for another day, because it is a bank holiday weekend this weekend. It is a Saturday morning. I'm gonna leave this till Tuesday now, because we have bank holiday Monday off. May Day bank holiday, as we call it. So if you enjoyed that video, give it the old thumbs up. I hope you subscribed, and I hope to see you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.